Welcome into Fantasy Insider's top cash game play at the quarterback position. We have Davis Mattek. We have Dave Loughran here to discuss who they think is a top cash game play. Davis, you're going to be up first. You have 1 minute to tell us why your play is the top play in cash games on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Are you ready?
I'm ready because it's really easy this week. The leader of the most efficient passing offense in the NFL, Carson Palmer, will be going against the least efficient passing defense in the NFL in the Baltimore Ravens. They have no pass rush with Terrell Suggs out. They have no cornerbacks playing well. I mean, it's gotten to the point now when you go to look up cornerback matchups week to week, you're going, oh, who gets to play Ladarius Webb this week? Ladarius Webb, former Pro Bowler, former stud at the position, is now someone we're actively targeting. And it's not just because Palmer's been playing so great. He has 3 running backs, all who are capable of catching passes in Ellington and the Johnson brothers. He has Larry Fitzgerald playing the best football of his career, converting 72% of his red zone targets into touchdowns. He had John Brown, who had 10 receptions for 198 yards last week. Oh, and they have, second-round draft pick Michael Floyd, who just happens to be their 3rd wide receiver.
Time is up. There is a minute. Dave, you are now going to be on the clock. We have Carson Palmer locked and loaded from Davis. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
I like Carson Palmer. Don't get me wrong. He's a good play. But if you're sleeping on Phillip Rivers, you're insane this week. It's as simple as that. Look, Phillip Rivers is throwing the ball an inordinate amount of times per game, 65 times against the Green Bay Packers, which was a heartbreaking loss. Let's go back to this game against Pittsburgh. Another heartbreaking loss on a Wildcat snap, rushing touchdown to Le'Veon Bell, wins it with time running off the clock. 2 heartbreaking losses. They're going to go home, back to San Diego. They're going to beat the pulp out of Oakland, who is allowing the 2nd most passing yards per game to opposing quarterbacks. It's an easy matchup. You can pair Gates with him at a great price on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Not to mention, if you want to break down the points, the fantasy points, when they're relevant, because they're relevant here, Tom Brady leads the league with 27.5 DraftKings points per game. Phillip Rivers is 2nd, yet he is the 9th highest priced quarterback on DraftKings. He is way too cheap for you to avoid him. You can pair him with Gates. And you know what? Even if Keenan Allen's out, he didn't practice yesterday, I don't care. Even if Keenan Allen is out, Phillip Rivers is still going to have himself a game. San Diego doesn't have a run game. Melvin Gordon continues to fumble. Danny Woodhead is only viable in the passing game. This is too easy. They are terrible against tight ends. Pair Phillip Rivers with Antonio Gates in cash games and soar your way into the cash, my friend.
If Dave was more of a soccer fan, I would say that he went into injury time there, but a little bit over a minute, but all good points made throughout his minute there. Now, Davis, thoughts on Phillip Rivers as a cash game option?
I mean, he's fine. He's fine, but I don't see the main reason I don't see any reason to justify using him is missing Keenan Allen is a pretty big deal. And even if he is active, I don't expect him to go full out. Now, Rivers has, made magic in the past with guys like Sehi Eratutu. If you remember his 2-touchdown game against the Washington professional football team on Monday night, that was quite a performance. I had him that night. But the main thing is they're big home favorites, and I just don't think that game script is quite as conducive to fantasy points. I don't think that the raw attempts will be there, although I guess Palmer is also a home favorite. If we're talking in terms of what a guy could do with limited attempts, if attempts are limited for one of the two, I have much more faith that Palmer can do damage on limited attempts than I do in Rivers, because no matter his raw point totals, he has not been a super efficient quarterback thus far.
Dave, your thoughts on Carson Palmer as a top cash game play?
And it's a fair argument. Carson Palmer has been very efficient. But it's also a situation here where Carson Palmer, despite being very efficient, hasn't exactly been blowing the doors off any teams either. He's been good, right? But he has one game where he exceeded the 22 fantasy point mark. He's a good quarterback, and for cash games, Carson Palmer should be completely fine at home against the terrible Baltimore secondary. I just feel it. I feel Phillip Rivers in a game. And I said before we recorded this, I'm going to go narrative street on you. This is going to be a game where the San Diego Chargers go in and just blow Oakland away. They're not favored as high as they should be. I believe this is only a 4-point spread for San Diego at home against, yes, none other than the Oakland Raiders. The over-under has moved up since last time I checked. Again, if Keenan Allen is out, more for Antonio Gates. And I think the reason I like this matchup more, and granted, you could argue that Fitzgerald, sure, and John Brown are very quality pairings with Palmer, but there's something about this Gates pairing at a great price at a very weak position that has me falling in love with Rivers this week. And I haven't been huge on Rivers all season, but when you're throwing as much as he is, okay, even in tight games, not just from behind, when you're throwing as much as he is, and there is no semblance of a run game in San Diego right now, even if they're up, the ball is still going to be produced through the air. They're going to score 3+ touchdown game for Rivers. At least one goes to Antonio Gates.
We will keep an eye on this one, find out Carson Palmer versus Phillip Rivers on Sunday. Gentlemen, great content as always.